beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a brand new palette from Sydney Grace. This is the Chase Your Dreams palette. This just launched during their Christmas in July sale. That's when I picked it up on the first day of the sale. This palette is currently sold out, but they do plan to restock. So I wanted to go ahead and give you my thoughts. I'm going to give you some swatches. I'll show you how I got this eye look. First, let's start with just a little bit of basic palette info. This is priced at $33 US. I know that sounds really pricey because this is a 9-pan palette. Typically, indie brands are a little bit more expensive. In my opinion, it's worth it because it typically is a small business, things that are either handmade or made in small batches a lot of the time, and the quality really does tend to be really high compared to like private labeled cosmetics, for example. Now, ColourPop, which is not a private label cosmetic company by the way, is very well known for their 9-pan palettes. So I also wanted to just do a little size comparison here. I'm not going to shade compare these, they're not really similar at all, but I did want to just show you that this Chase Your Dreams palette is quite a bit larger than the ColourPop 9-pan palettes. I can't find any info on this palette or on the website about how much actual product is in each one of these pans, but I think you can tell here that the Sydney Grace shadow pans are larger than the ones in this ColourPop It's My Pleasure palette, and the shadow pans in the ColourPop palette are 1 gram. I know we're accustomed to getting these little 9-pan palettes from ColourPop for a pretty nice little affordable price tag, but I did want to point out this palette is quite a bit bigger, and you know, this is an indie brand. You know I love my ColourPop palettes, but I'm really becoming a fanatic for indie brands, particularly indie brand eyeshadow. I mean really any eyeshadow, right? Like, who am I kidding? This palette has a super pretty glittery finish. This is a heavy duty cardboard with a magnetic closure. All of the ingredients are listed on the back. I know it's kind of hard to tell between the ring light and the glitter, but this is the ingredients list. When we open up inside, there is a nice big mirror in here. And then, of course, the 9 eyeshadow shades with the shade names labeled next to the pans. There are only 3 mattes in this palette. These 2 sort of orangey shades called Be Bold and You Can, and then a matte black called Enjoy the Journey. The rest are super metallic, very foily shimmer shades. The next thing I want to do is show you some swatches of this palette. I will be doing both finger and brush swatches of all 9 shades in this palette. The finger swatches will be pictured on top, and then each corresponding brush swatch will be directly below. All the swatches are done on the inside of my arm with no primer down first, just the swatches straight onto my skin. And as always, for my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off between each shade using my Vermona color switch. That way there's no transfer between swatches. So let's take a look at those swatches now. Here are the swatches of the Chase Your Dreams palette, and I am so incredibly impressed by how each and every one of these shadows performs. The brush swatches and the finger swatches look almost exactly alike. In a lot of cases, I think the brush swatches are even more opaque and more even. Just overall, so good. Now that you've seen all the shades swatched, I want to go ahead and show you an eyeshadow tutorial using this Chase Your Dreams palette, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. First, I'm going to prep my lids with my all-time favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly, just to get a nice even surface to work on. Then I'm using the center shade. This is the more dusty orange shade called You Can, and taking just the tiniest bit of that onto a blending brush and working that into the crease. These shades are very bold and very pigmented, so I just took a little bit at a time and worked in layers. They blended super easily. I also added the shade You Can along the lower lash line, just a quick little smudge with a flat brush. Then I used the shade Don't Quit. This is more of a satiny metallic shade, still quite shimmery, especially if you apply it with a finger. I'm using a small fluffy brush and working that into the outer corner and also blending that up into the outer crease area. I want a really smoky, blown out purple look, and I used just a little bit of that on a pencil brush and smudged it along the outer part of my lower lash line. Now I'm taking my favorite shade in the palette. This is called The Drive. Probably gonna wear this every single time I wear this palette because it's so pretty. Just applying that with my finger all over the inner 2/3 of my lid, and just look how metallic and delicious it is. Now I'm taking the shade Your Best. It's a little bit deeper, kind of grayish purple, and I'm just tapping that onto the outer part of my eye for some added depth. And I went back with my original crease brush and just sort of blended up the crease a little bit. And for the finishing touch for the shadow, I'm taking the matte black called Enjoy the Journey on a pencil brush and smudging that along the outer part of my upper lash line. And I also went back and added this gold shade called The Dream with my pinky finger. I knew I wanted a highlight, and I just really love the contrast of yellow and purple. Then I curled my lashes and added this new Huda Beauty Legit Lashes mascara, which FYI, I love this mascara, and that finishes the look. Really, really happy with how this turned out. It was a simple technique, but the colors and the shades are just so high performing that it looks a lot more complex than it is. It's really fun. It's just beautiful. I'm head over heels for this eye look. It is no secret, I love purple eyeshadow. This shade called The Dry literally is what sold me on this palette. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I wish there was a little bit more purple in this palette. Now, I also love some toasty warm neutrals. I love yellow. So the color scheme as a whole really just makes me happy. I think the shadow quality for every single one of these shades is absolutely insane. These metallic shimmers are so out of this world. They're incredibly pigmented. They're really, really bright. They're easy to work with. Both mattes and shimmers are easy to work with. They blended nicely. Not only did they apply well, but I feel like they wear well. Sometimes with these really intense shimmer shades, they tend to wear off of my lids, especially near my crease area, and these have just stayed put. They've stayed looking really bright and beautiful for hours on my lids. Quality wise, I have not one single complaint, but that doesn't mean I have no critiques. There are a couple things that I would change about this palette. The first thing for me is the imbalance between mattes and shimmers. While the shimmers are out of this world, just absolutely stunning, as you saw from the swatches and the tutorial and me raving about it, I do find myself wishing for more mattes and some more variety in mattes. Two of the three matte shades are pretty darn similar. Now, they're not the exact same shade. Be Bold is a little bit deeper, a little bit brighter, and You Can is a little bit more of a dusty medium orange. And then of course we have a matte black. I'm not big on black matte shadows. I don't really use them that often. So I do wish that we had just one more matte instead of a matte black. I would have loved to see a really rich, deep purple, maybe sort of marigold or like goldenrod mustardy type of matte shade, and then just a little bit more variation between these two orange shades. They're both very beautiful. I just don't think there's quite enough contrast, particularly when there's only 9 shades. I really want to see a distinction between the shades so that I feel like I'm getting a lot of bang for my buck in a smaller palette like this. Overall, I'm still really, really happy with this palette. I will definitely continue to use this palette. I'm probably just going to mix in some other matte shades just so that I can have a little bit more balance. I do find myself wishing for something a little bit lighter to sort of balance out all of these really rich, beautiful, but very deep, rich tones in this palette. I imagine using this with something like my Going Coconuts palette or my California Love palette, both from ColourPop. I think this would be a beautiful companion to the California Love palette. That way I could get some of those more golden and matte type of shades to mix in with this color story. But this shade called The Drive is just absolutely stunning. Overall, I've really enjoyed this palette and actually all of my Sydney Grace eyeshadow purchases. I do have some new singles from the brand as well, so if you're interested in seeing the little 12 pan palette that I curated as well, let me know. That could be a whole nother fun little video. Now's the time when I want to hear what you guys think about this palette. Are you interested in this one? Did you pick it up? Is it going on your wish list? I always love to hear what you guys think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye! What was that? That's what happens when you take some time off from filming. It's always awkward to come back. Doesn't help when you're awkward anyway. Do you hear that thunder? It's storming right now. Wish me luck. What am I even talking about? I'm so off my game. My poor doggy is freaking out because of this storm. So she's a wreck. She just lays right next to me. It's kind of sweet. I mean, I wish she wasn't freaked out, but at least I'm here for her. Don't worry, I'll show you some eyeshadow swatches and you'll feel so much better. How do I usually do this? Wow, I can't even remember my own, like, spiel. I've only said it 100 times. Probably more than 100. Wow, this mascara, though, is really impressive. Okay, focus, Amanda. Focus, focus. I'm happy with this purchase. Purchased? But honestly, this purple shade called The Drive is probably enough to make this palette worth it for me. Okay, probably not that much. I wouldn't, but it's close. Purchase it. Ma'am, I know, honey. I'm sorry. With some new I don't even know what I'm talking about sometimes. Do you? Do you guys know? Because I don't. How could I? I mean, just look how pretty it is. It's so purple. I know it's more dark and smoky than I usually go, but I don't even care. I like it. I like it. It's so vampy and dramatic. And it kind of has like a Mardi Gras vibe with the gold on the inner corner, you know? And then my gold sparkly celebration earrings. Okay, I'm rambling. I may have been rambling for this whole video, but you know what? It was all leading up to this moment. I love your face. Hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye!